Imagine living in a house where the fire alarm goes off not just during a fire, but every single time you cook, light a candle, or even boil water. That's what it's like living with a brain impacted by abuse. When you're exposed to any kind of abuse, whether it's loud shouting, gaslighting, physical violence, or silent manipulation, your brain shifts into survival mode. This isn't a conscious choice. It's an automatic biological response designed to keep you alive. At the heart of this response is a small almond-shaped structure in the brain called the amygdala. This is your built-in danger detector. It scans your environment 24/7, deciding whether you're safe or whether something's about to go very, very wrong. In healthy conditions, the amygdala only fires up when there's a real threat, like a car speeding toward you or someone yelling aggressively. But in abusive situations, especially those that are ongoing or unpredictable, the amygdala gets stuck in hyperdrive. It becomes overactive, always alert, always suspicious. It's like your brain is convinced the world is a battlefield. Here's the tricky part. Your brain doesn't always know the difference between past danger and current safety. So even if you're no longer in that harmful situation, your amygdala might still act like you are. This results in constant anxiety. Even in calm settings, panic responses to non-threatening cues, like a door slam or a raised voice. Hypervigilance. You're always scanning the room, watching people's faces, bracing for something bad. And it doesn't just feel exhausting, it is exhausting. Your body stays flooded with stress hormones like cortisol and adrenaline, wearing down your immune system, your energy levels, and your emotional stability. But while your amygdala is sounding the alarm, another key player is going offline. The prefrontal cortex. This is the part of your brain that helps you think rationally, analyze situations, and regulate your emotions. It's your brain's CEO, the one who says, let's take a breath and think this through. In trauma survivors, the prefrontal cortex often becomes underactive. This means you have trouble concentrating. You may react emotionally rather than logically. You might struggle to assess risk or see things clearly. In essence, your internal balance is disrupted. One part of your brain is screaming, danger, run. The other part is too overwhelmed to remind you, you're safe now, let's slow down. This imbalance explains why some survivors feel on edge all the time, even when life seems perfectly fine. Maybe you've wondered why you flinch when someone raises their voice, or why you feel like something bad is about to happen, even on a good day, or why your body tenses up when someone simply walks behind you. This is your brain trying to protect you the way it had to in the past. But here's the hopeful part. Brains can change. Just like trauma rewired your brain to survive, healing can help it rewire again, to thrive. Therapy, safety, consistency, and compassion can gradually quiet the amygdala and strengthen the prefrontal cortex again. It takes time, but it's absolutely possible. So if your brain feels like a fire alarm that won't turn off, just know you're not broken. You're responding exactly the way a human brain is built to respond to chronic danger. And now, with the right support, you can begin to disarm the alarm. Have you ever had that feeling where a part of your life is just missing? Like pages have been ripped out of your memory and you're left trying to read between the lines? For survivors of abuse, this is incredibly common and incredibly confusing. But science gives us some powerful clarity. The part of your brain responsible for storing and organizing memories is called the hippocampus. Think of it as the brain's librarian. It sorts through experiences, files them into long-term storage, and helps you recall events when you need them. But here's the catch. The hippocampus is very sensitive to stress. When you're under chronic emotional, physical, or psychological abuse, your body releases high levels of the stress hormone cortisol. This hormone is helpful in small doses. It helps you respond to threats. But under constant stress, cortisol floods your system like a broken faucet. Over time, this shrinks the hippocampus. Yes, shrinks. And when that happens, memory and learning both suffer. Blurry memories, gaps, and flashbacks. That's why so many survivors say things like, I don't remember everything that happened. I only remember pieces, like a dream. I'm not sure if what I remember is real. Sometimes, memories are vivid and haunting, like flashes of lightning in a dark sky. Other times, entire months or years can be foggy or gone. This isn't weakness. This isn't lying. This is the brain doing its best to protect you from the overload of pain. Your brain can decide subconsciously that certain memories are too traumatic to hold on to, so it buries them or fragments them. This is especially common in children who've experienced abuse. Their brains, still developing, simply aren't equipped to handle what's happening, so they disassociate. They might focus on one small safe detail during the trauma, like a crack in the wall, a ticking clock, or a corner of a blanket. These fragments sometimes become the only memory that remains. Memory in the courtroom. Why science matters. Now here's something crucial. In legal and social contexts, survivors are often judged by how accurate or clear their stories are. If someone can't recall dates, timelines, or specific events, people assume they're unreliable, or worse, dishonest. But neuroscience tells us the exact opposite. Blurry or missing memories are one of the clearest signs that trauma has occurred. Trauma doesn't encode like normal memory. Instead of storing the memory neatly with timestamps and context, the brain throws it into a corner, unlabeled, unfiled, and emotionally charged. So when it comes back, it's raw. It may feel like it's happening right now, even if it happened years ago. That's why trauma survivors sometimes have flashbacks that feel more like time travel than recollection. Understanding this allows us to be more compassionate, especially when someone says, "I don't remember everything." Instead of demanding a perfect story, we should recognize the courage it takes just to speak at all. Learning and focus. When the brain struggles to stay present. The hippocampus doesn't just help with memory. It also plays a major role in learning and retaining new information. When it's impaired, you may struggle to stay focused during conversations, follow along in a classroom or at work, organize your thoughts when writing or speaking, retain new skills or instructions. It's like trying to take notes with a broken pen. You want to learn. You're trying. But the tools just aren't working the way they should. This is especially frustrating for survivors who feel lazy or stupid, when in reality, their brains are doing the best they can under enormous weight. You may find yourself zoning out, forgetting what someone just said, or feeling like your brain is foggy all the time. That's not laziness. That's trauma's footprint. But here's the light at the end. The hippocampus can heal. Studies show that with consistent support, the hippocampus can regrow neural pathways and strengthen again. Therapy, especially trauma-focused therapy like EMDR, helps reprocess old memories safely. Mindfulness and meditation have been shown to increase hippocampal volume. Movement, like yoga or walking, can reduce cortisol and support brain function. Sleep, nutrition, and supportive relationships all play a role in memory repair. So even if it feels like parts of your past are missing, or like you can't focus the way you used to, please know you are not broken. You are a human being whose brain adapted to pain. And with time, patience, and care, you can remember joy again. You can learn in peace. You can feel whole. Let's talk about emotional blunting. If you've ever felt numb, disconnected, or like you're just going through the motions, you're not broken. Your brain may be trying to protect you. Emotional blunting happens when the brain tries to shut off overwhelming feelings like fear or pain. It sounds helpful, right? But the problem is, it also dulls your ability to feel joy, love, or excitement. You may stop crying even when you're deeply sad. You may feel nothing even during moments that should feel special. It's like living life in grayscale. For many survivors, this doesn't end when the abuse does. Even in safe relationships, you might feel emotionally distant. This can make it hard to connect with others, or even with yourself. But here's the good news. It's reversible. The brain is changeable, what scientists call neuroplastic. With the right support, safety, and therapeutic tools, these patterns can be gently unwound. When trauma impacts the brain's emotional regulation system, it's like riding a roller coaster, without knowing when the next drop is coming. Your emotions may feel unpredictable. One minute you're okay. The next, you're overwhelmed. This happens because the prefrontal cortex, the rational part of your brain, can't keep up with the flood of signals from the amygdala. It's like trying to calm a storm with a paper umbrella. A study by Grun and Compass from Vanderbilt University found that people who experienced abuse had a much harder time regulating their emotions. They often described feeling like they were too much emotionally, easily triggered, ashamed of their reactions. This can lead to strained relationships, especially when others don't understand that these emotional responses aren't a choice, they're symptoms. And sometimes the opposite happens. Instead of too much emotion, survivors feel none at all. They disconnect completely, not knowing how to access what they feel inside. Both responses are forms of survival, and both deserve compassion, not judgment. Dr. Jamie Hansen, a neuroscientist and psychologist, studied children who were abused and found consistent patterns. More difficulty in school, higher rates of truancy and suspensions, struggles with decision-making. In adulthood, this often translates to substance abuse, self-harm, risky relationships, or unsafe sexual behavior. Why? Because when you live in constant pain, your brain searches for an escape hatch. Sometimes that escape is drugs, sometimes it's sex, sometimes it's a series of impulsive decisions that seem irrational to outsiders, but make perfect sense to someone trying to feel something or trying to feel nothing. It's not about poor judgment, it's about survival. The parts of the brain that usually weigh pros and cons are offline. The brain is just trying to cope. Unfortunately, the coping strategies can cause even more pain, leading to a cycle that's hard to break. Let's talk about long-term mental health. Abuse doesn't just affect your brain during the trauma, it can echo for years. Survivors of abuse have a significantly higher risk of developing depression, feeling numb, sad, hopeless, or like nothing will ever change. Anxiety disorders, overthinking, panic attacks, always waiting for the next bad thing to happen. PTSD, flashbacks, nightmares, hypervigilance. Eating disorders, using food to feel in control or out of control. Suicidality, feeling like the pain is too much to carry. These aren't weaknesses. They're neurological responses to experiences that overwhelmed the brain's capacity to cope. But remember, the brain can heal. Neuroscientists have shown that the brain is incredibly plastic. That means it can change. It can rewire. It can heal. Even if abuse reshaped your brain, that's not the end of your story. Through consistent therapy, like cognitive behavioral therapy, CBT, EMDR, eye movement desensitization and reprocessing, or somatic practices, survivors can slowly retrain their brains. They can learn to feel safe again, identify triggers, reclaim lost parts of themselves. Meditation and mindfulness can help strengthen the prefrontal cortex. Journaling, art, and movement therapies can process trauma stuck in the body. Community support, group therapy, or even just being believed by someone can spark incredible change. It takes time, it takes courage, but it's possible. If you've survived abuse and you still struggle with emotional outbursts, memory loss, or feeling numb, you are not crazy. You are responding to something real that happened. Your brain didn't fail you. It protected you the best way it could. You survived. That alone is incredible. But you don't have to carry the weight alone anymore. You don't have to keep reacting like you're still in danger. With support, you can feel peace. You can feel joy. You can even feel whole again. It's okay to ask for help. It's okay to take your time. Healing doesn't have a deadline. If someone you love has survived abuse, remember this: healing isn't linear. One day, they may be open and joyful. The next, they may seem distant or angry. This isn't about you. It's their brain still learning how to live in safety. Here's how to support them. Be patient. Don't rush their healing. Believe them. Their memories might be foggy, but their pain is real. Don't try to fix them. Just love them. Learn about trauma. The more you know, the better you'll be at showing up. Abuse isolates people, but the right support can slowly bring them back. Abuse leaves invisible wounds, but understanding how it rewires your brain can help turn shame into insight, fear into clarity, and pain into purpose. If this video helped you understand yourself, or someone you care about, a little better, please share it. Let's keep breaking the silence. Let's keep learning. Let's keep healing. In the comments below, share your story. Let others know they're not alone. And if you've found healing, be a light for someone else.